Hello. Hi. How are you? Good. Can you hear me all right? Okay. Yes, it's good to be finally speaking with you. Do you have time to talk about the restoration stuff? Okay. Are you at your computer? All right. Yes, I've got the painting all set up, and it is very beautiful. I've got a camera right above it if you want to go ahead and log in so I can show you the tools and some of the things that we'll be using. And I've also got a camera set up to the side so hopefully you can see the painting and watch the process. Okay, you can see me? Perfect. Well, let me know if you think this format will work. Normally, of course, you would want a professional to do the restoration, but I do understand your situation is a little different. It sounds like you inherited quite a few paintings, right? Okay. Yes, it can be very expensive. And since they're not, very valuable paintings or anything like that, I'm happy to do this restoration and kind of talk you through it. And hopefully you can reference these videos back and sort of work on the other ones on your own. Okay, that sounds good. Well, first I thought I would show you a few of the tools that you'll need to sort of begin to assemble and then go kind of just over the process and let you watch. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Number one thing you'll need, of course, is a pair of gloves, and we always want to wear gloves to make sure that we're not transferring any dirt or oils from our hands onto the painting. Even after we wash them, we can still, leave little traces of things, so we always wear our gloves. Second, you want to make sure that you've got some cotton balls handy. I really like these ones. The only thing that's important is to make sure that you are using 100% cotton. And this is just so that we know there's no other substances that might scratch the painting or anything like that. But a pretty basic tool here. These are just a pretty normal round size cotton ball. And I think most of them are set up this way. We use it very often just like this, but also if you pick at it a little bit, they kind of come apart. They're kind of just rolled up. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get it started. There we go. And so it's good when they're able to unroll because we use it for different things unrolled also, and I'll show you that in a moment here. But you can see that's pretty easy to do. You'll also want to make sure that you've got some Q-tips, and I like these ones a lot. These are precision tips. Let me just slide open here. And as you can see, it's just a little bit pointed at the end, and that just comes in handy when we're doing different things. Also, when we have the cotton like this, sometimes I need a bigger area on the Q-tip, and we'll kind of just start to roll this right around there, kind of like cotton candy is always what it reminds me of. You're almost kind of making a giant Q-tip. And you just kind of keep working with it, smoothing it down. I'll just do a quick demonstration here. Normally when I am going to be using it. I'll put a little more work into it, but as you can see, and I use this for a lot of different things, wiping, tapping, dabbing, sometimes getting different textures or things like that. It's very useful. So those you always want to make sure to start with. I think I've sent you a list of these type of items that you're going to be needing, correct? Varnish, the varnish remover. Yes, okay. Well, this is the varnish that we'll be using, so we'll pull that out later. This right here is just sort of a little razor blade. It's just, we use this for sort of scraping some of those damaged areas out. It's great to have some different kinds and sizes of these. I use this one the most often. You can see it's kind of rounded on the end here and very pointy at the top. So we'll pull that out in a moment. We'll also be using just a pair of big tweezers. You want to make sure that they're a little bit larger than a normal tweezer, and we'll be holding the cotton ball with that. I'll show you when we get there. You'll want a couple types of spatulas, something like this. This is just a little plastic one. This is the one that I use most often. It's metal, and this right here is very helpful. Kind of the curved head helps just the shape of it. It makes applying the paste easier when we go to do the repair on the painting. And the pointed shape of this is also really helpful. So you'll want to pick up something like this. All of these things pretty much you can get at any basic craft store or hobby store. So just to look around wherever you are. You'll want a couple of sponges. It's nice to have some different sizes and textures of these as well. This one is fairly smooth here and a little more textured on the edges, but it's pretty squishy. So you want to make sure to have different ones of these when we go into texture. Sometimes sponges can also be used to do varnish, though we'll be using a brush today. You'll want to have a very fine grit sandpaper is actually what this is. You can kind of hear that. And these actually pull apart on the side here. So when we get there, we'll use this. I don't think we'll be using this today, but you may want to pick up just some different types of craft brushes like this. It's great to have an eraser. This is kind of a weird one. It's kind of fun to play with, just a little squishy art type eraser. As well as this is just a little blending stick. I don't think we'll need this today, but you may want to pick some of these up. Okay, the most important probably is just to put together a little set of these type of tools that we'll be using. We have in here just some regular pencils. This one is a little charcoal pencil. Depending on the medium that's used in the painting, of course, you want to have different things. This is just a blending stick, so you can see it's well used. We've used this a lot for the colored pencils. A little wooden stick. And then of course you want to have an abundance of different types of paint brushes. Got a fan brush here, very light. Then you want to get, some bigger sized brushes. This is just a very tall, sort of skinny one. You want to make sure you've got some very tiny ones in here. We will be using this one. And then also just some different textured ones. This one is fairly stiff. It's just sort of a round tip on the end. So just make sure you have, a good array of paintbrushes, soft and firm. The next thing, of course, is your different mediums depending on what has been used on your piece of art. This is just a set of pastels. We won't be using these today, but you'll have to sort of go over all of those pieces of art that you have and see if you have any pastels in there. Set this down here. What we will be using today is the paints, and you just want to make sure that you've got a set of high quality paints. Today I've just gone ahead and picked out the colors that we'll be using for this particular painting, but of course you want to have a good array of colors. Of course on this one, you know, we've got just the blues and yellows, the red, this is kind of like an orangey yellow, some brown. So we'll pull those out when we're ready to use those. And then the last thing, and I think from the pictures that you sent me, some of those are the other paint, or the other pieces of art rather, are colored pencil. So it is important to get a set of high quality colored pencils. They come in, as you can see, a very wide array of colors. That's also important, but the quality is still very important. So make sure you pick up a set of really good colored pencils. Okay, so we'll see a couple of different things as we go that I've not shown you, but those are some of the basic tools. So why don't we just go ahead and get started with the procedure? Does that work? Okay. So number one, when we start any restoration, which we've already done in this case, but for all of your other pieces of art, you just want to observe the piece of art, determine the artist, look up as much information as you can on the artist and on the piece of art. Techniques used, you know, the year, sometimes that will help you determine what kind of products were used, varnishes, things like that. You of course want to know what the piece of art is on, whether it be canvas, wood, sometimes it's copper or tin or something like that. These things will all determine the types of techniques that you use in the restoration. So of course this is on canvas and it is a painting. So the next thing that we're going to do is document the painting, and for that we're just going to take some pictures. We want to make sure we take one picture of the entire painting, and then I'm going to come closer and take some close-up pictures of different sections of the painting. All right? Okay. Always check and make sure, of course, that it has turned out well. Okay. Okay. Go ahead and retake that one. Okay, good. Okay. That's good. And we'll get one more. Okay, perfect. Set that aside. And please let me know if you can't hear me. Sometimes when I get very concentrated, I can speak really quiet. So alert me if I'm doing that and don't notice. All right, let's go ahead and get our gloves on. So I'm going to go ahead and move up close to the painting here. But first, I'm going to go ahead and grab one of our cotton balls. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pick out an appropriate brush to use with the varnish remover. This is a nice painting to sort of show you the process because it's fairly small. So for this one, I think I'll just go ahead and use this size. I'm also going to go ahead and grab my tweezers, and this is where we'll go ahead and just grab the cotton ball with the tweezers. I've got my varnish remover here in a glass jar, and I'll show you here. We're just going to be, you don't need very much, just a little bit. Remove the excess. Now we're just going to start in very small sections. We're going to apply the varnish remover and remove with the cotton, okay? So we'll start here. Very small area, and then remove. Okay, perfect. Can you see that all right in the other camera? Okay. Make sure we're working in very small sections and being very gentle with the painting. Okay. And this really is one of the best parts of doing the art restoration, because as you can see here where we've cleaned and right next to it, it's such a difference. It really just comes alive once we get that yellowed varnish off and all the excess dirt. Yes, we do have a little kitty that roams around. People seem to enjoy her. Okay. And I've already stated it, but just make sure you're working in very small sections at a time. Restoration is a very slow process, but it can be very therapeutic, actually. many, many years actually. My mother has been restoring art since I was little, and actually my grandfather was the one who taught her, so it's been in our family for quite a long time. And if you see any yellowing color coming off on the cotton, it's not to worry. This is just the varnish. I'm going to go ahead and get another cotton ball. Make sure to use as many as you need, and we won't need to on this one, but if you've got a large painting, go ahead and change out your varnish remover if it does get to the point where it needs to be changed. Yes, it's coming out wonderfully. The cleaning just does so much. So do you know where these paintings came from? Where your grandmother got them? Okay, wow. Well, it is a really neat thing to inherit. And they're going to look so much better when you're all finished with them. Remember just to take your time, yes. It's not a difficult process, especially with this small one. But on some of those larger ones, it's just going to take some patience. And remove. We've got one more small section here. few small sections that I'd like to work on, but we can do that while we're waiting for the repairing paste to dry. So, what you can see right here we call a cobweb, and it's just because you can see this sort of middle part there that's beginning the whole cracking area. You can see how it comes down and out, just it looks like a cobweb. So for that we're going to go ahead and use our scraping tool, and I'll start up here where we see some of that cracking. Basically we want to scrape any areas where there is the cracking, where the paint is actually coming off, or any bubbling. Of course we don't want to overdo it, so just where it's needed. I'm going to actually stand up here and again just a little bit of scraping, very gently. Don't want to overdo it. I think on this painting, that's really the only area that needs to be scraped. I'm going to take this fan brush here, and I'm just going to quickly clean off the painting of any cotton that might have gotten stuck on there and the dust that we sort of pulled off there. Just want to make sure that's very clean. I've already prepared sorry, the paste that we're going to use to repair that area. And this is in the email list that I sent you as well, but we've just got it right here. And for that, I'm going to use the metal spatula here. And turn this way. Excuse me, pulled my earphone out. So I'm going to go ahead and just get a small amount. I want to do very small amounts at a time. Something like that. I'm going to put my hand up here. Just begin to fill that in. Gently pushing it in. smoothing it into that area right around it as best you can. You want to work quickly because it's a small area. I went ahead and used this product, which is very fast drying, which will help us in the process, but we want to make sure that we get it all smoothed in before it dries. Smooth those edges. Okay. While we're waiting for that to dry, I'm just going to clean up those other areas. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one of these Q-tips. Go ahead and grab the varnish remover and just barely dip the end in and get these small areas. Hopefully you can see these where we just need a little more attention. That's better. Can you see the difference there? Okay. Okay. Now, while this is barely damp, I'm going to go ahead and take my sponge because of the texture of this, and I'm just going to barely dab it in there, not much pressure at all. Just get the tiniest bit of texture in there. And as you can see, it's almost completely dry, but we're just giving that surface tiny bit of texture, mostly on the edges, because we'll be smoothing that large area with the sandpaper. This just helps to blend those edges in, make everything uniform. We'll wait just a moment more for that to dry. A couple other small spots here. Okay, I think that's good, and believe it or not, that should be dry already. That's why you want to work quickly if you're using that type of paste. So I'm going to go ahead and pull one of these strips off. And I like these because I can sort of wrap them right around my finger. I'm going to go ahead and stand up for this part. This is, again, just the very fine grit sandpaper, and I'm very, very lightly going to sand that surface. It looks very smooth, but we want to get it as smooth as possible. This is looking very good. Okay, it's just as easy as that. Okay. Fix the painting here. Let's go ahead and just clean that off again. Any of that dust. Especially on this area. Make sure we get all of that dust. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and get our paints ready. I am going to first show you, I'm going to pull out my glasses for this part, and I do recommend that you get some sort of magnifying device. I really like these because I'll be opening and closing them a lot. You'll see. You want to be able to see very close up, but then take a look at it in normal level, sort of far away. So we'll pick those up in a moment. I just use a dish like this. You can use anything. Just make sure that you have enough room to mix, of course. So we're just gonna squeeze some different paints out onto our palette here. Got black and red. And you said that you took some art classes in college and studied for a while. Okay. Yeah, that will actually be very helpful. The other parts are, you know, anyone can kind of do the stuff we've already done. I'm sure you can tell that. But some of the painting and the coloring, it really helps to have somewhat of a background. That is one of the most important parts, of course, is to match those colors. and sort of textures and techniques. Okay, so it's a very small area. We've got our palette here. Let's go ahead and pick which brush we would like. I think I'm going to pull out this one and these two. I'm going to go ahead and start with this sort of flat brush right here. Go ahead and begin to mix our colors. And it is a little bit of trial and error. I've gotten very used to it, of course, but if you want to, you could get a small piece of paper, you know, and hold it up and see if you're in the right area color-wise. Go ahead and mix, and we'll try this. Okay, I think we are in the right area. Go ahead and get my glasses here. Just continually check. You want to be trying to exactly match those brush strokes as the original artist did. Okay, I'm going to grab a different paintbrush here. just a bit more with the very small paintbrush. A little bit of red. Bit of a purple, I think. So once again, just try until you achieve the correct color. Just barely touching with this one. Gentle, gentle, gentle. Very gently, barely touching. Okay. One more tiny spot. Okay. I think that's good for the painting. This one was a very simple fix. Overall, we're looking great. Okay, so why don't I get back with you in just a little while. We'll let the painting dry and I'll show you how to apply the varnish. Okay? Okay, I'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye. Hello? Hi again. Are y'all ready? Okay. Yep, it's all dry and we're ready to varnish. You can still see me? Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and take our varnish here. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and wear my glasses for this part, but I'm going to take off the magnifying part. That's why these are wonderful, because they clip right onto your glasses. Caught it in my glove. Okay. So, because this is a small painting, I've got just a very small container here. We're going to pour some of the varnish in. We can go ahead and get more if we need more. And then we'll go ahead and take out a brush. I think I'm going to go ahead and use something like this. Of course, pick the appropriate size for your painting or your piece of art. On this, you want to sort of go at a pace that's fast but slow. I know that sounds a little strange. You don't want it to dry, but you also want to take your time. And we're just going to start going horizontal, and then we'll go ahead and go vertical. So you just want to go as smooth as possible. Smooth and across. Try to always go over the last area that you've done. You can go back and forth a bit. Just make it as smooth as possible. go ahead and go the opposite direction. Want to make sure we're getting a very even layer. Now go ahead and just sit back, take a quick look, make sure it looks even everywhere. You might want to get at a couple of different angles. Sometimes you can see different things from different angles. Okay, I think that looks pretty wonderful. What do you think? Good. Well, that is, a quick intro into how to do a very basic art restoration. I hope that this is going to be helpful. Of course, I'll wait for this to dry and I'll go ahead and get this one sent back to you. So go ahead and start collecting all the items that you need. And once again, if you want to sort of call me when you're starting your first one, if you need any help at all, I'm more than happy to help. Okay? Okay. The best of luck to you. And we'll talk to you soon, alright? Okay. Bye-bye.